I was fortunate enough to meet you in person. Unlike many of my guests that I meet the first time doing these in the digital world, we met in Florida at a Dr. Rao seminar, a little talk he was giving. And I met your husband as well, who's a wonderful practitioner himself, a doctor. And as I understand, he's the one that taught you how to perform colon hydrotherapy. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. We were talking colonics on our first date.
That must have been an interesting first date.
Here we are in Palm Beach, right, having this gourmet meal at this glitzy restaurant. And he was just going on and on about his background and told me he had the Colorado School for Colon Therapy. Well, I had just finished having my first cleanse. I did
Mm.
3 colonics a week for 3 weeks. And I knew immediately he was the man for me. So 6 months later, I asked him to marry me.
Colonics in love, right? That's what always gets. It's those unique stories that I love to hear that bring people together. But what was it about colonics that really brought you into the field and turned you into such an expert on it?
Hmm. Well, I have to show you a picture of what my mouth looked like before and
Ooh,
after.
those are a lot of amalgams.
A lot of amalgams and 5 root canal teeth.
Mm.
Casper, I was going down fast. I was 30 years old and I could barely get out of bed. And this is long before anybody looked in your mouth to see what was going on. So I was very blessed to be divinely guided to a naturopathic doctor here in Florida, my own Dr. Phil. And he did what is called applied kinesiology. It's a muscle testing technique for diagnosis. And all he did was touch my tooth, touch my liver, and he said, "You're full of heavy metal." You can see it.
Hmm.
And of course, I never made that connection because I had spent my entire teen years in the dental chair after school. And he said, "Your liver is so congested." Thomas Rao would say, "Your barrel is overflowing with the heavy metals and probably many other toxins." So he had colon therapy in his office. He had a young man working there by the name of John, gave me my first treatment, super gentle. And this was a woman who was a high-powered real estate agent wearing silk suits, driving a Cadillac, and selling $1 million homes in Palm Beach. And when I crashed and burned and couldn't get out of bed, it was devastating for me, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and certainly financially. I can promise you that after that first series of 3, because I always remind people, this colon of ours is tall as long as we are tall. So I'm 5'8". I had a 5'8" colon, like you see here in this orange apron. It took 3 just for me to start the process, as you mentioned, of opening the detox pathways. And it started with the liver, because what most people don't know is that this colon first job is to absorb water. So colon hydrotherapy is to hydrate the colon with a lot of water. From there, it goes directly to the liver. So colon hydrotherapy is actually liver cleansing. The liver let go, made more bile, which is mostly water. I started feeling better right away. The headaches went away. The sleep pattern improved. And then I was charged with tackling, okay, how do I clean out my mouth? Because you can't just go to any dentist, folks. Please don't go to any dentist and have the metal taken out of your teeth. This is a specialty field called biological dentistry. And you can look for a practitioner and a good dentist on the website IAOMT.org. And I'm sure that Casper knows this group. I've actually trained many of these dentists, one in the Philippines, one in California, because they understand that once you start taking this out of the teeth, it's not just there. I had been swallowing the residue of heavy metal for 20 years. I had been breathing the mercury vapors. There's a YouTube channel that shows this in an infrared light. You can actually see the metal vapors. I had chronic lung problems and never, had a cigarette in my mouth. So the interesting part of that, what colon hydrotherapy did for me, was it opened a whole new world, Casper. And it was a world that I knew about because I was changing diapers. That's me and my baby brother. This is my family of 10. I was going on 7 years old when I first started changing diapers. And this was long before disposable. He was born in 1960.
Mhm.
No gloves. We just took the poopy diapers and dumped them into the toilet, threw them in a bin, and my brother took it down to the basement. And of course, lots of Clorox. So I was exposed to a lot of metal. And I grew up in Pittsburgh, lots of steel mill activity. So my toxic burden was so off the charts. And as divine order prevails, I was led to Thomas Rowell. First thing he did was put a meter in my mouth, electric meter, and the needle buried. He said, "No wonder you're so sick. You have so much metal everywhere." That's the first thing we have to do is take this stuff out. So I started the process, and it is ongoing. What I want to impress upon the listeners is Michael and I have been required to adopt what we call a cleansing lifestyle. Routine, gentle cleansing is so vital in the culture that we live in, the chemical culture. I also follow another medical doctor. You might know him, Zach Bush,
Sure.
ZachBushMD.com. I'm going to be doing an experiential workshop with them, his cohort tomorrow as a member of that group. Zach Bush is laying it out there with all the chemicals, and he's pounding the glyphosate Roundup thing. So between Thomas and Zach Bush, I continue to learn more and more to pass on to my team in 35 countries so that they can pass it on to all these other people around the world. And of course, that's where I do my stand-up, is in the classroom.
Nice.
And I channel Rosanna Thana. She was Gilda Radner's alter ego on Saturday Night Live. For those of you who don't know it, just go to YouTube and look up Gilda Radner, and you will fall down laughing. I have the wig, I have the glasses, I have the whole costume, because I never thought about going on stage, but I realized that God gave me the classroom as my stage. And learning has to be fun, right?
It does. Absolutely. And you're
That's
taking
all.
a subject that many don't find fun, but I find it you need to humanize it. We need to humanize medicine again. Yes, we're going through lots of illness and suffering and everything, but if you humanize it, and part of the human experience is to laugh and enjoy. So we got to be able to
Absolutely.
do that as well. So thank you for your work as a stand-up comedian and a practitioner.